Okay, Jared, I want to know, first off, do you drink anything besides water ever these days, or are you just water only?
Well, I don't really have two speeds when drinking. I drink on the weekend and I swing for the fence, and on the weekdays I drink water.
Fair. That's fair. Good plan. Yeah.
All right, Jared Allen with Ogden Twilight, alleged bars in town, and among other things, allegedly. Yeah. Yep. Derek Williamson, Ogden Amphitheater coordinator. Still.
It's kind of expanding to be included in it. My role's expanding to maybe one day be a venue coordinator. We're adding the Dumpke Arts Plaza to our roster right now.
Okay.
So
you get a pay raise for that? Or?
It's a negotiation.
It's negotiations. All right. We'll help you with that.
That was a big fat nope. Not yet.
Yeah. Brandy Bosworth, Ogden Nature Center. Earth Days is this weekend, which is very cool. Jared, on Ogden Twilight, is this so? You like to venture down in Southern Utah. You just got back from Southern Utah.
Yep.
By the way, your child is young-ish but old enough to. Do you get nervous with your kid down there? Because there's some dead, like, don't mess up places.
Yeah, no, definitely. I double back as I get through an obstacle and make sure he's coming through it okay for sure. Yeah, it's scary, but I think it's good to get out there and live. So.
You do canyoneering, or what's your
quasi?
Go-to?
We're not
okay.
we're not harnessed up or using ropes or anything. It's like mild bouldering problems,
Okay, what place have you not hit down there that you want to go explore?
Well, I mean, there's I haven't. So we just did the subway this last weekend, but we did it bottom up. You can't do top down right now due to water levels or stuff like that. But actually, in a couple of weeks, once some more snow melts, we're going to try and do the Zion Traverse, which is like 37 miles in one day. It'll take a lot of running.
That's a lot of miles.
Yeah. We're basically going to be running most of it. Yeah. So, I've always got a project going, but that's the current one. As soon as the snow melts enough. So
is that what keeps you sane, or what's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah. Because it's
what makes you crazy.
No, it's a good stress reliever to just go out and break yourself physically against things that are hard. And when you're frustrated with the world or a work project, instead of
wait, you get frustrated?
Yeah.
Okay.
quite regularly. But rather than like lashing out and saying something dumb that you can't take back or something, just go run and sweat it out. And it's just a more positive means of, getting rid of that stress.
Brandon, take note.
I need to.
Total asshole around me.
You want to go for a run, Brandon?
Yeah, let's go.
I think that you can.
Let's go. Todd's trying to tell me something. Well, Are you done with your job as far as Ogden Twilight goes for this season? Because everything's booked right now, or what else do you have to do?
So at this point, all of our headliners are booked, but we've still got to work with some of our special guests and local spotlight artists in terms of the booking side of things. We're still working with sponsors and some promotional side of stuff, but yeah. So as far as like the creative curation side of things, most of the work is done, and then we'll shift gears and it gets more into production, and that's where Derek and our friends at SNS kind of take over and do the heavy lifting.
We'll get to Derek in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
If we have time.
If we have time.
It's a negotiation.
Okay, so just
Derek, I'm the funny one on the show. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send the
Quit stealing Todd's thunder, Derek.
Good stuff today.
Okay, we're selling out though. So we've got, I think, season tickets that says sold out online. Is that right?
Yeah, season tickets are sold out, and 4 of the 10 shows are sold out. VIPs sold out to all 10 shows. I imagine all 10 shows will sell out completely, but I think Cascade's getting pretty close. Sylvanesso's getting pretty close. Flaming Lips is doing well. We still got to add special guests to Sylvanesso and Flaming Lips, and I think when we do that, those will likely get pushed over the top.
Okay, so the lineup is spectacular. You probably make millions of dollars on this, and that's why you do it, right?
Yeah, clearly. You would not believe, how much you make on $10, $15 tickets.
Yeah.
Those types of bookings. No,
Mm-hmm.
no. We started out just completely. The whole goal of the series was, Christy McBride and I were sitting on the roof at Alleged one night, and just talking about how rad the Salt Lake Twilight concert series was, and it was like, why isn't there anything like this in Ogden? And they were doing July and August at that point, and we're like, well, let's do Thursdays in June.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we started, and it was $5 tickets, and the whole goal was, all these people are kind of talking trash on Ogden, but like it's clear they haven't been here and seen how much it's changed, and it's like, hey, let's have these like cheap or affordable concerts anyway, that include your transit up here and let them come up and see just how awesome Ogden really is. And the concerts and the artists were more or less the bait to kind of help us change the perception of our, of Ogden within the state of Utah,
What year is this for you?
of the series?
Yeah.
I think this is our 8th year of artists. It would be our 9th if not for the COVID season. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you getting tired, or are you still as pumped as you were when you first started?
Well, I mean,
because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, but it's such a passion project. There's, I can't think of anyone out there who would get tired of chasing their favorite artist, and it's like, you lose your shit just to go see your favorite artist, let alone to bring them to town and maybe get to meet them and see your community fall in love with that artist as well, and you share that thing that you're passionate about. So the energy is always there for that side of thing. I mean, I can't imagine ever getting tired of it, honestly.
And you just take classes to learn how to book musicians, and then...
No. I mean, no, it was totally trial by fire. Like when we started, we actually tried to hand it off. I sent an email to Casey Jarman, who had been booking the Salt Lake series, and I didn't get a response because he had just, in some capacity, whatever, his relationship there with the Salt Lake series had ended that year. And so I tried to reach out to him, didn't get in touch, and then I reached out to Will Sartain, who we work with now, and asked him to book it, and he's like, "Yeah, good luck, buddy."
Wow.
And then I'm like, "Well, I guess I'll figure it out." And fortunately, one booking agent in particular that I reached out to, just was super cool, and he's like, "Don't say this, do that, don't," and really helped kind of coach me through the process, and then. At the end of the season, and I'm still really proud of our first year's lineup. It may not be like as popular, as some of the others, but if you go back and listen to that playlist or look at those artists, it was a really eclectic and really a strong year for what it was our first year. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I convinced Will Sartain, good friend, and again works on the series now, if I could take him out to lunch at the end of the series and just kind of if he could tell me what I did right, what I did wrong, and I was just kind of breaking it down and. I was telling him, and I definitely made a lot of mistakes that year, which he was just, in tears laughing a few times about.
Yeah.
And I think that whole process kind of endeared him to the series or us, that we were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, but made it work.
Yeah.
And then he kind of came on behind the scenes the subsequent years, and he would just be BCC'd on emails, and he's like, "No, don't say that, say this," and
cool.
I know this guy, I bet you could get it for this, or Lyric really just kind of had like a coach, in your ear the whole time telling you what to do, which was super helpful.
I think there's nothing more bonding than the critique being just laughing.
Yeah.
That's always
That's
good.
a good,
Sure.
heading in the right direction.
That's
what's going
I
on,
can't believe you guys pulled it off. Way to go. Oh my God, you're a moron.
Because your goal of winning over Salt Lake pretty much happened immediately.
Yeah, no, for sure. Actually, from the beginning, we sell more tickets to Salt Lake County than we do to Weber County.
What?
Yeah, every year.
Wow.
Yeah. And that the train ride is so crucial to that, I think.
Yeah. So if Derek took over booking next year, what advice would you give him?
I don't know that Janelle Monáe can play 10 nights in a row.
Yeah, I told everybody I'd quit if my favorite artists came because I prefer to watch the shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're right about that exactly. It's so funny.
Well, everyone, I'm sure, gives you like, you should book this person. You should book this person. How do you fight that off? Do you ever listen to anyone's requests?
I definitely listen to input. But it's so tricky. I don't think people realize it's like this really insane matchmaking that goes on. It's like we're on one chunk of floating ice in a river and the band's on another chunk of ice in the river, and there's so many things moving in between. Like our tour is taking us this way and your venue's not open this day, or like it's really a miracle anytime you actually come together on one of these, because we're a small market and our budgets just don't compare to like a New York or LA or anywhere else. But if an artist has got a big gig at Red Rocks and then a big gig the Greek at Berkeley, it's like, well, wait a second, we're already on the road, we're passing through, maybe we can pick something up. And that's honestly what we do a lot of times is these artists they've got 3 semis and 2 buses and how many artists and gear.
They need a place to stay for the night?
Well, I mean, they're spending $20-$30 a day in overhead with just all that equipment. And so maybe they're getting a huge paycheck at Red Rocks or a huge paycheck in California. But and it takes years of conversations to get them up to the speed on the idea of like, really, this is a $15 ticket, whatever. would you consider playing for this? And if there's no other show in the market that can absorb them and pay them more than we can, and they're into the community vibe thing, like, yeah, let's
So you get
do
some
it.
by default sometimes.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes they come to us. Sometimes we go to them. More often than not, because we are so picky with the series, we're generally hunting everybody and for years at a time before we land them.
What's the max you can pay with this series?
I don't know that it would depend on the ticket price. We could.
Okay.
I've got my white whale that I would like to try to land someday, but to.
Def Leppard.
No, that's God. That's out of the bag. It really is like we'd have to change the ticket price incrementally to make it work. And
is that something you thought about doing for one night?
Well, so we did. We started with $5 tickets on the season, and then we went to 10, then 15. And then I think this year we have 3 $20 ticket shows. And last year we actually had 2 at $25 tickets.
Didn't even remember.
Yeah. And that was loud. I mean, massive, pop appeal. Not necessarily my typical wheelhouse, but it was such a, part of the job is, booking stuff that the community would like that will fill 7,000 seats type of thing. So that was, even though it wasn't necessarily my personal favorite, it would have been a dumb move not to take that booking,
Plus, I'm sure you're taking into account too I think one of the best parts of, let's say, both Twilight series is the affordable nature of the tickets. Everybody can go,
sure. Yeah.
right? And so there's so many concerts that come through. I could list any of them, that are coming through Red Butte or something that it's like, I would love to go, but I can't swing that.
Yeah. And the nice thing with the season ticket then is it's super affordable.
Exactly.
So even the $20 tickets are only $15 tickets, or the $25 tickets last year were $15 tickets. But.
And so without giving prices, I've always had, I've been curious, especially these bands that you kind of try to recruit over a period of years. Do bands consider less because they love the area? Do they consider less because they're available at a certain time?
I think it's almost entirely due to routing. If they've got a big pay date, a big anchor date on either side of us, and they're routing through anyway, I think like we couldn't get a band that wasn't playing, that wasn't already active, to come see us for anything, honestly. Sure. It's just they're already on tour, they're already routing, and they're in the area.
We need routing software.
Yeah.
To know which bands are going where when. That would make your booking.
And that's it. All comes down to just relationships, like talking to the booking agents. And again, talking years in advance. Like we hit them up like, sorry, they're not active this year, but all right, they'll make a little note that, all right, well, when they are active, this series is interested, and they'll reach back out to us, or we'll follow up with our kind of wish list every single year and just kind of check in and see where they're at,
So Flaming Lips is now Ogden every year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Pretty wild.
It's so nuts. Yeah, feel very grateful for them coming here and putting on those shows. And I don't think there's a live show that I ever leave that I'm not like more euphoric than that show. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, what are we missing, Todd?
So, Derek.
Uh-oh.
How many of the performances have you seen, like the glitter set list yet?
Because
Like,
Derek works every show. Yeah.
How much glitter, how much confetti? Is that written into these contracts yet?
It's always given with the Flaming Lips.
Okay, fair.
We've got that much prepared for. The rest of it is really preferred that I don't have to see a single paper set of confetti in any capacity. and that's in our contract too. No, it's not. No, we're prepared to, we have some preferences, but we're prepared to, handle the shows as they come, and hopefully, despite all our preferences, we give a good experience to all the people that get to participate.
So how's your staff? How's your team? What's the kind of official relationship between the city and the concert series?
Oh, that's above my pay grade. I don't really know.
Oh, I would say, it's an incredible venue, and that was one of the things that came to town. I think so often the venue can make a difference between a great show or not. Like I've gone to so many concerts that were essentially in like cinder block storage bays. They're just not interesting. And but on a nice warm summer night with a sloped lawn and this vined trellis and great sight lines everywhere, it's an amazing venue.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So and it seems like anywhere in there it feels intimate, and you've got a good view of the artists, and the artists are connecting with the fans, and I think the venue is a big part of what makes Ogden Twilight special.
I'm excited about that answer. Yeah. I mean, nothing beats a summer night looking at some great stage performances, hanging out with all your cool friends, eating some pizza or corn dogs, all that. It's all part of the experience, I think.
Anything new in the amphitheater this year? Anything new to eat? Anything new to drink? Any new staff positions?
I drink a lot of water as well. I'll be honest. Those days are
That's
really
what we're
hard for
getting at,
me.
basically.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I believe that about his friend.
Well, yeah. What are you going to do, Derek? You're going to have a heavy August, and so how are you going to, train for that?
Yeah, so our arts, culture, and events team just did some hiring. We've attended a few hiring events and stuff like that, and we work with a largely seasonal staff to fill out our, events team. And the last few days, my team and I have been spending a lot of time in front of a spreadsheet, just kind of getting familiar. Like, do we have the right budget to hire enough people to accomplish what we need to? Especially in August, there are 6 shows as well as a handful of other community events, and there's a lot of turnover for how quickly those events are following each other. And there's so many different city services that we have to consider. It's not just picking up the garbage, it's also moving in the fencing and the bleachers and making sure the bathrooms are prepared and all the production that comes in and out. And there's just a lot of coordination. So knowing that we have the right staff on hand and trained well enough to accept all these changes and expectations is imperative.
Yeah, well, plus the bar is already set. You guys do such an incredible job each year.
Well, thank you.
And if you don't, we don't notice it. And so I'd just say that you do an incredible job.
Well, we do make our team wear a uniform. There's a lot of different moving parts of different kinds of staffs of the Ogden Twilight series, between the security, the production, all of the vendors that bring in like their food trucks and beverage sales and stuff like that. But then our actual city staff, we make wear like a teal blue uniform. So if you see one of us drop something, you're going to notice.
The jig is up.
Yes.
Jared, how do you book your openers?
With the special guests, it's kind of like, first we get the headliners in, and even with that, we try to look at like what gaps do we have, like sonically in the series, like, oh, we need something more electronic or more folk, or what haven't we covered? And I think when we get to the special guests, we're doing some of that as well, where like, what gaps do we have in sound, or what would add some diversity. But also a lot of times, as these artists are routed through, they have direct support on their entire tour. So say, for example, like M83 and Bon Iver, both are the artists that the special guests they're bringing with them. Mm-hmm. But in cases when the artists don't have it, then we get to go out and look for artists, and we have to submit them to the headliners for approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, say, a local band, is there an avenue they can get to reach out to audition, or how does that work?
The best thing to do is to email me, but more often than not, because we work with SNS and because they own so many venues in Salt Lake, whatnot, they're familiar with all the local bands and who's hot locally right now. I mean, generally these artists are already playing Kilby Court pretty regularly, and they know if they're selling it out or not. Mm-hmm. And so I honestly listen to a lot of input from the SNS guys on who to go with for the locals. But another thing that's helpful is have a strong Spotify, have a strong YouTube, stuff where it's easy to send links to the headliners for approval. Because ultimately what we do is we'll take 3, we'll submit it to the headliner for approval. You generally want the sound to be somewhat like in harmony with the sound of the artist. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not going to put a country sounding
but
artist.
But not better than.
No, definitely. Well, I mean, honestly, that would probably be stoked more often than not. Honestly, it's amazing how often you'll see the headliners come out and watch the locals on stage.
Cool.
Like, they love music too, know?
Yeah.
But I mean, we had, I can't remember, I think it was Portugal the Man sitting in the crowd watching the Moss and just like going crazy. But I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. It's something I'm working on for something this year later. But yeah, I think just make sure you're easily presentable via a quick email. Like, send your best song, like your best Spotify song. Another thing that really matters to these artists, especially the more complicated shows, like when we have the National come out. I mean, they have 100 different inputs with all the different mics on stage and what's going on. You think about that, and like, all right, we got to have not only a special guest come through, but a local. And it's like once they do their sound check, they don't want too many people walking through there pulling on things. It's like so a lot of times we have a hard time getting approval for locals if the stage setup is super complicated. But one way to get around that is if it's a simple setup. It's 1 or 2, 3 people. It's not a ton of inputs. So yeah, sometimes it's about simplicity. Sometimes it's about sound. It really just comes down to their preferences.
Can you enjoy the night of the shows? Or are you nervous? Or
I 100% enjoy the night of the show.
Okay.
See, that's yeah. So
Derek takes over.
No, yeah, I know. Yeah. So like, I work my butt off now.
Derek, do you enjoy the night of the shows?
I love that you love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm definitely like once the showtime rolls around, I'm there as a fan. Hopefully, all things are delegated, and I'm just singing my guts out and dancing and having a good time.
Well, how cool is it to share it because you share it with your kids?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, my daughter loves music, has since the day she was born, and she actually plays guitar and drums and teaches voice lessons and teaches songwriting, and Does she ever say, "Do you know who my dad is"? I don't think she does.
Okay.
No, she's such a well-adjusted human being.
Good.
Really, really chill. But she was the announcer from the beginning of the series, and it was like I grew up in the arts. I'm a visual artist versus like a musical artist. Don't have any skill there, but it's so the art world or the music world can seem a million miles away from Ogden, Utah. Like that's not a real career. It's not a viable path to an income. Yeah. And I think by bringing these people to town and letting them see that they're real individuals, not just these, avatars on a stage. These are real people and real lives that music could be your life. You could make this your income. You could follow your passion, your dream.
I love that you said that. That's kind of what we do with some of these mural artists that we bring in, and that's able to interact with some of our local visual artists as well, just to see what's possible.
It's a real income. It's a real, So,
is Isla saying, "Do you know who my dad is yet?" Is your
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, she drops that in the grocery store. It's weird. Yeah, all the time.
I don't believe you at all. So I have to ask you one last question. My favorite musician in that whole lineup is Beck. I've just been a fan of Beck since the beginning of time. And so take me through, you can be quickly, but how'd you make that happen?
So that one
This is a unique show.
Yeah. It was really crazy because there was one day, actually, I was working on the Windsor, just doing construction, and I got an email, and this was actually 2 years ago, but his booking agent's name is Marlene, and I got an email, and she's like, I'm reaching out on behalf of Ogden Twilight. Am I talking to the right person? This is for Beck. And I was like, wait, what? And I like, holy God, like lost my shit instantly, got on the phone with Will, forwarded him the email, and he's like, holy crap. And so we were trying to piece it together, and it didn't work out that year. But again, you start the dialogue, people get to know each other. And, but then, I had noticed that he was on Arcade Fire's tour as Beck Acoustic, last year before they had all that controversy, and then he pulled out. It was no longer on the tour. But then just in the back of the head, that thought stayed that, oh, Beck Acoustic, that's a possibility. That's a different type of booking that could maybe occur. And then, when they announced I can't remember, it's like some sort of Everlasting Summer. I don't remember the name of the tour, but it's Beck and Phoenix, and I think Japanese Breakfast are all going on tour this summer. And so that's a massive show. But I saw that they're playing like Vegas on 8/12 and then Red Rocks on 8/15. So again, this is one of those scenarios where it's like massive show. Mm-hmm. We've got all this overhead and 3 days in between. I'm like, gosh, is there any way we can pick this up? So we emailed Marlene and floated the idea past her. And
shout out to Marlene again.
Yeah. She was instantly receptive, and then took it to. So there's so many tiers. That's like there's the booking agent, and then there's the manager, and then there's but anyway, everybody seemed super into the idea, and they were telling us for weeks it was going to happen, and it ended up taking about 6 weeks before it confirmed. But and that's why we delayed on the announcement as long as we did, is we were waiting on that one. We're like, this is like such a big booking, we don't want to give this up, because it's either like you can set a deadline and like pull it out from I'm sorry, you didn't commit in time, we're writing it off for somewhere else. But we just didn't want to let it go. So we just, and lo and behold, it actually came back the night of my daughter's birthday. It was March 18th. We were at dinner at Tona, And I just checked my email, and I was like, just kind of lost it. And yeah, we all kind of celebrated right there at dinner. So
I've had a chance to see him many times, but the one that stands out was an acoustic version, of the show, and it was just incredibly memorable. And so that's just going to be a huge treat for everyone, but particularly Beck fans. So
no, same here. I mean, Sea Change and Morning Phase are probably my favorite of his albums, and but I like the information as well. But those two, again, the more acoustic ones, I just totally connect with. So yeah, excited for that.
Congratulations on Ogden Twilight and what you've been able to accomplish.
Oh, thank you.
It's a lot of work. It's a huge thing. When you look back, what's your proudest moment?
Man, I don't know. It's just the best part of it, honestly, is
You're still kind of in it. So.
Yeah, I'm in it. Well, it is being there in the moment at the shows and watching everyone singing along, watching somebody maybe in tears or people hugging, and the next day when I'm laying in bed and I'm going through all our tags on the Instagram stories, and I'm just seeing everybody so happy, having like the best time of their life and emotional and stuff like that. Like that's it. That's the best part for sure.
And then you could see Derek in the back of those pictures with the little
just
can of
fuming.
brew and-
It's
Cleaning the confetti.
it's a leaf blower. They have they have a team of leaf blowers.
That's an industry secret.
Leaf blower 1, leaf blower 5, leaf blower. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, that is funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anything else did you want to hit on before we move to Ogden Nature Center, Jared, about this year's season or anything? Because it's spread out against multiple dates, and so you had to get away from the whole every Thursday deal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Covered?
that's it. Yeah.
We're covered.
Yeah.
How about that? That was pretty good. Thanks, Jared.
Yeah.